Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto, Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, and to every nook and cranny receiving our 100,000 watt transmitter into those magical boxes known as the radios, aka the El Señor Howard Reynolds machine. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great show for you today. And of course, welcome to the entire world who listens to us via the magic of the internet, formerly known as the ARPANET, created by we the people, we the taxpayers of the United States, we the intellect of the various people from around the world that came here to the United States and created that magical thing that just a few are profiting from and trying to throw out all those who made all these great creations. Folks, remember, we are one country. We're one people. Don't let the fallacies of the right take away who we really are. But before we get started with the program, I pass it on to the studio for los genios que están adentro, escuchando y arreglando todo lo que estamos haciendo. We are going to the great brothers in the studio. How are you guys doing this morning? Howard Reynolds and Jacques Van Beba.
Good morning, Egberto. Your intro just keeps getting longer and longer. We just keep waiting for our turn to talk here. Like, oh, come on, man.
Hey, look, let me tell you, man. I have to give the proper intro for the people to kind of get into the spirit of the show, man.
Okay, that's what you're doing?
That's what I'm
doing. Works for me.
It's National Fossil Day, and we're here.
Yes, we're here. 2 old fossils running the place.
2 atavistic throwbacks to another time.
Yeah, and Jack Morantz and Howard Sansui.
Yeah, the 70s.
Uh-huh. Well, nothing for me this morning. I did watch the debate between Allred and Cruz last night, and Cruz is just so slimy. I just don't know how this man ever got into office. I mean, he just looks slimy.
He presented himself. I think he presented himself just like I think people should view him. The thing about it is we have to get people to kind of drop their ideological rigidity and say, you know what, I think I want somebody that I can hug, that can be, less than just caustic. Because he was, even when Allred got upset, Allred didn't look like he wanted to, It was just different. It was just different.
Oh, yeah. Allred conducted himself quite well. And actually, Cruz did too. But you just look at him and go, you really don't do anything, do you?
And he goes to Cancun.
He said 12 years to do something, and he's done nothing. At least nothing that I can see. So it's time to give up the seat. Term limitations. We need those. 2 terms in Europe.
What is so interesting is he was also an art. They don't talk about it a lot, and I don't know why Allred doesn't talk about it a lot, but he was one of the architects of the insurrection, and nobody talks about it. He knew what was going on. He was planning there also text exchanges with him, so it behooves me that they don't make more of an issue of it.
I was thinking he did that was suggested. That was talked about a little bit, just a tiny bit, but other than that, it was just a nonsense thing. And Allred came off looking pretty good, and Cruz came off looking fairly well. So we'll see what happens. I mean, election day is very, very close, and I will not be voting Ted Cruz.
Before we go to Jack, I tell you one thing that surprised me of the debate. I have not. I've seen a lot of his debates and how he debates other people and talk to other people. And I can say that this is the first time that I saw him temporarily shook because somebody actually came back at him, forcefully and with sort of a dignified way of doing it. I had never seen him sort of fall back, and you could see the fear in the face, like, uh-oh, I can see that this guy's not just going to let me get across with my bloviation. So interesting.
Not at all.
Anyway,
Jack, you got a half page of wisdom here, and boy, are we in some need of some wisdom today on Fossil Day.
Man, oh man. Well, this is Egberto's post this morning, just kind of reworded by me. Trump's Bible. Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
Good morning, my brother. Tell me about Trump's Bible.
Well, Trump's Bible, made in China, as he proposes tariffs on Chinese imports. What's wrong with this picture? Hypocrite. Are union workers falling for his grift? Fox News head misinforming entertainment news networks calls out Trump for lies told about FEMA out of money in response to a hurricane release. Shameful. What a way to frighten the hell out of the citizens who have just been through hell. Pretty cruel, Mr. Trump.
And this is news.
It is
sad,
it's muckraking.
You know how you can tell when Donald Trump is lying?
His lips are moving.
Yeah. All right. Take your show, and we don't want to redirect it too much, but here we go.
Well, wow! It's amazing. This time, my brother was completely on message. That was great. But before I go into the Trump Bible, yesterday I watched two interviews. The one that Trump did with Bloomberg, and the one that VP Kamala Harris did with Charlemagne the God. And it was two different interviews altogether. And what you could say is Charlemagne would be friendly to VP Harris, and the Bloomberg would be friendly with, Trump. Trump is purportedly a billionaire, and that's right up his alley. And he got called out. He got called out for promising for the promises that he's making to everybody, adding up to between $7 and $15 trillion, which is anywhere from 2 to 5 times what Kamala Harris is proposing. The difference, of course, is that Kamala intends to pay for it if she could ever really pass the wealthy paying their fair share by, taxing the rich for what they haven't earned. But when we go ahead and listen to what she did now on Charlemagne, she was talking about uniting, bringing folks together, making sure. It was a staunch contrast. And I sit back and wonder, what does America really want? Do they want to be in a perpetual state of fighting each other? Or do they want to reach a point where we can exhale and breathe and not worry about having to be stressed out with fighting the other person? And you know what? I think we're starting to coalesce. Some polls came out this morning that, contrary to what people have been hearing about the closeness of the race, actually starting to see some separation national. Let's see what the other polls that come out say. But it started out at a 48-48 tie with the NBC poll. The Tips and Maris came out at 3%. Now I forgot the name of the one this morning, came out at 5%. So we'll see where we're at. Georgia had a humongous day of voting yesterday. The assumption is, since it had a 17% Democratic bias, that just maybe that is what we see. People say Trump voters vote on the day of the election. I don't know, even if those who vote on the day of the election, they're going to have a lot more data to work with than those who are voting early. And I don't know that it actually gets better for Trump. Trump went ahead on stage, and it was supposed to be a town hall where he answers questions. 2 people fainted in the audience. It kind of got Trump a little bit upset. So he said, to hell with us having questions and answers. Who the hell wants to answer questions and ask questions anyway? Let's just listen to 10 tracks. And of course, some of the tracks that he played, people of the people who did the tracks, the authors of the tracks or the singers of the tracks already complained to say, stop playing our music. I mean, it is just an interesting view of what's going on. But anyhow, let me just tell you about Trump's Bible that Jack alluded to. I did a piece on that I want to go ahead and play. And by the way, folks, you know the telephone number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. Anyway, I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side. Donald Trump has a lot of the workers, a lot of the union workers hoodwinked. They believe that in as much as they're in a union, they think they want Donald Trump because they believe Donald Trump is going to be out there fighting for them. And why do they believe that? Because the way Donald Trump talks about tariffs, Donald Trump makes them believe that tariffs is a good thing for them. Let me be very careful and very factual. There are reasons to have tariffs. There are reasons to have selected tariffs on your particular sector. If the other country is subsidizing something that you are not subsidizing in your own country. But there are also reasons to have tariffs to ensure that you can maintain a particular manufacturing base so that if there's a pandemic that occurs, cheap stuff don't just flow into the country. All of that is true. But what Donald Trump had said he wants to do is to blanket apply a 20% tariffs across the board on imported things, but more importantly, and put a $300% tariffs on a lot of other stuff. That is irresponsible. That would send a shock through the market, and that would also cause severe inflation. Not me saying, although I would say it based on the calculations, because remember, the tariffs are not paid by the countries who the tariffs applies to. I repeat, the countries that gets the tariff, if he applies a tariff to products coming from China, China does not pay the tariffs. The tariffs are paid for by the companies who buy the products from China and sell it to you, and they must recover their costs. And how do they recover their costs? They recover their costs from you. So therefore, when Kamala Harris, VP Kamala Harris, says that the tariffs are nothing more than a sales tax, she is absolutely right. The way it's implemented, it's across the board sales tax based on what Trump says. Now, remember, I'm being pragmatic here in stating there are reasons to have tariffs. There are good reasons to have tariffs to ensure that you have a manufacturing base for absolutely everything, and also to ensure that other countries don't use you as a dumping ground. But this has to be done in a calculated manner so that they don't retaliate on you and stop buying our farmers' soybeans and buying it from Brazil. Stop buying our farmers' rice and buy it from some other country. All right. Now that I said that, I want to get into the Bible because I preface that with the Bible. If Trump so believed in tariffs, if Trump so believed that we shouldn't be getting things from China, then why is it that all his stuff that could be manufactured right here in the United States of America, he manufactures in China? Not starting because he's been doing this for a long time, but even the Bible that he's going to sell now, or that he's selling, check this out.
We can't continue to allow China to rape our country, and that's what they're doing. It's the greatest theft in the history of the world. China raided our factories, offshored our jobs, gutted our industries.
Our worst of the week bonus round goes to that guy, Donald Trump, because you'd think by now he wouldn't want anything to do with a country he says is responsible for the downfall of American manufacturing and raping us. Well, remember those weird God Bless the USA Bibles that Trump was hawking to his MAGA fans? Guess what? Made in China. According to the Associated Press, 120,000 Bibles were printed in the eastern city of Hangzhou and cost less than $3 to make. And by avoiding U.S. labor costs, Trump got a bit of a divine boost. $300,000 in royalties, according to his August financial disclosure. So the grift really does continue, because we're also learning that thousands of these Bibles will likely be bought up by Oklahoma schools, lining the pockets of not only Trump, but also the Chinese manufacturers he says he hates so much. My panel is back with me. So Charles, this is a double whammy, because on one hand, it's not just the irony of them being printed in China. It's also the fact that evangelicals in this country are being duped by this grifter who we're not even going to get into his favorite Bible verse or which Old or New Testament he likes. But, you actually had a Christian group rallying today in D.C. calling on America to get back to God. So it's just like all over the place with this one.
I reject the notion that they're being duped, because at this point, how do you not know, right? Like, they do know, they're very well aware of this. And like I said at the beginning of the hour, consistency does not matter. Hypocrisy does not matter. And so when you see this, if you put it in front of the so-called Christian nationalists, the so-called evangelicals, they will reject it or find a way to do so based off of some red herring that has nothing to do with the fact that Donald Trump's actions continue to be out of step with his words.
So let me play for this Tim Waltz, what he had to say about this, and I'll get your thoughts.
Found out his Trump-branded Bibles. Yeah, they're printed in China. This dude even outsourced God to China. So just so we know, again, I'm going to try and be generous here. I don't blame him. He didn't notice the Made in China sticker because they put it inside a place he's never looked in the Bible. So.
All right, but we can't give him off. We can't give it a pass. I hear you. He haven't read it. Yeah, I hear you. I hear that too, Bridge MCP. But no, we hold him accountable. Remember, Trump is such a sick. He's such a, whatever that word is. He writes his own checks, paper checks, that is. He pays the bills. He knows where every dollar in his organization is going. So yeah, he knows where these things are made. He knows where things are made. Look, let me tell you something, guys. It is interesting, okay? It is completely interesting that he isn't called out on this. But you know why? I play these things because, believe it or not, there are some people who don't have a clue. And when this is turned into a TikTok, and when this is turned into something else, folks are going to get this in pieces and they're going to say, oh, wow, is that really true? Oh, I didn't know that. And I'm not talking about the sycophancy now. I'm talking about those that are swayable, that are willing to overlook certain things but have a limit. That's what we're talking about. We spend a lot. That is absolutely what we're talking about, folks. So it is amazing, right? As he speaks about China, all his products are made in China. And you know what's interesting? If you really want to make it here in the United States of America, guess what? You can. We have the manufacturing base to do so if you want to. Anyway, folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. We have more to cover, but seems like we have a call. You guys can start calling. David, come on in, my dear brother.
Oh, thanks, Egberto. I don't remember if I've mentioned currency speculators, but what Trump is doing sounds like what happened 100 years ago and not only caused World War I, but made it drag on for years. And that was currency speculators would play the currencies of one nation against another, and they didn't have any loyalty to those countries. They just wanted to catch the bounce between the rise and fall of currencies. And so they would sell out a country. They would praise a country. They'd praise and praise until the currency got to a certain point, and then they'd buy low, sell high currencies. Well, that would cause the value of everything in that nation to rise and fall on the international markets. And then, when these currency speculators got it to the right price, they would sell everybody out. And it sounds like that's what Trump has been doing for a long time. And it makes sense because as an international hotelier, he's obviously been paid in Saudi money. He's been paid in, francs and in pounds and in Russian rubles and in all sorts of different currencies. And in the modern world, in these last years or so, of course, the Saudis want to sell out America. They no longer want to use the U.S. dollar as the reserve currency. They want to have some other currency to be able to sell their oil. And, of course, Trump has got some strange loyalties to Mr. Bonesaw, and he's also got strange loyalties to Putin, who both want to sell out the U.S. dollar. So it would just make sense that Trump's endless parade of lies would suit these currency speculators, and looking at the value of America, they're going out of their way to sell out America.
I mean, look, in effect, he's a fraudster and, a speculator. I agree with all of that. I don't deny that. And he has the pulpit now. I should say he still has the pulpit now because things are in flux. He can, in fact, move markets, right? You see what happened to his stock yesterday when he looked like a crazy person in the Bloomberg interview, and his stocks, he is lost a whole lot of value, because as long as they think that Trump could potentially be president, the stock price, the price of his stock, what is it called? DJT goes up, right? But if they think that there's not a fat chance for him to be in the White House, it starts to fall. And over the last 2 days, the guy has looked pretty suspect, mentally speaking, that is. And you can actually see that how his stock fell in that response. As far as the speculation that you're talking about, let's remember they do that with currencies. They do that with stocks. I don't know if you remember the magic that was happening with GameStop and Robinhood and all that sort of stuff. Same sort of stuff we're talking about. Anything else, David, before I jump on to tech?
Well, the cryptocurrencies are just another way of doing the same thing.
Exactly.
They're claiming Bitcoin is more valuable than the U.S. dollar, or gold. You got to sell out America because we got to have gold, and they're just such lying phonies.
I'm glad you brought up Bitcoin, David. I'm glad you brought up Bitcoin, because one of the things that we are supposed to do as well is make people critically think. I want to tell folks I actually finish, and then I'll do Bitcoin, then I'll go to tag. Finish what your thoughts so that we can move on. Sorry for interrupting.
Well, there's almost every one of the right-wing stations are pushing this idea of America's about to collapse. You better buy gold and hedge your investments. And you listen to who are doing it. It's Steve Bannon. It's Donald Jr. There are all of these creeps that are trying to push the despair of America and that everybody should buy gold. It's a sad situation, and what's even worse, they're pushing for destroying the U.S. School system and going to these private schools, which, America was founded on united we stand, divided we fall. And the American school systems were a major part of uniting us, that the rich kids would sit next to the poor kids in the schools, and that they would all grow up together and they would trade with each other as life went on. And in this case, they want everybody to be divided into private schools and some kind of a new snobbery. And with that new snobbery, it creates all sorts of new divisions. So, they're eagerly trying to destroy America through division.
Thank you, my brother David. You're absolutely right on that. Thank you very much. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Before I go to tag, I want to go ahead and make mention about these cryptocurrencies. Let me tell you, these are speculative devices that have zero value. And the value in it is how long the con lasts. I mean, the dollar has nothing back in it other than the faith of the United States government in that entity that's used to trade. I take $1, I can turn that dollar into rice. I take $1, I can turn that dollar into a car, right? It's just a temporary hold of value. That's what it is. And that temporary hold of value is backed by the United States saying, I will make that value whole. Cryptocurrency, let's say Bitcoin, they have these things called mining software. I'm just explaining this for our audience in general. Crypto is, like the dollar, nothing backs it other than a computer calculation that finds a particular number that is unique, and then that is verified through a process known as, I forgot the process, where several computers validate that number. I can't recall the name of the process right now, but it is just a whole bunch of computers trying to find, they call it mining these numbers, okay? And that's what it is. It has no value, no physical anything. It's stored within a computer, a set of computers who have logs all over the world. And if for some reason somebody creates some sort of an algorithm that ultimately crashes it, Bitcoin will be, and let me just tell you, as a programmer, somebody who knows software, no algorithm is perfect. So I can guarantee you right now, there are other programmers out there trying to beat the system. And the biggest crash that's going to occur in Bitcoin is when a hacking algorithm is there that can go through these different steps to process it. So right now, a lot of people make a lot of money on Bitcoin, but a lot of people are going to lose their shirts on it, especially if that hack is found. Anyway, let's go to Tag. Come on in, Tag.
Morning, Egberto.
Good morning, my brother.
Just a quick comment about Cruz and Trump. You get a twofer this morning. When people go to bed, they need to remember that Cruz led the way on standing in the way of the peaceful transfer of power. He was one of the main guys that tried to shoot down the Electoral College vote. So I don't think you really want that type of person taking away to choose a leader. And as far as Trump with the tariffs, I think it's very important for people to remember that Trump wants tariffs basically so that his rich donors can continue to charge us what they want to charge for what they manufacture here in this country. Tariffs take away all competition for our manufacturers here. It's just a stonewall for any competition here. They don't have to improve. They don't have to do anything, and it'll just be the status quo. Just like in the 70s when we had the old tanks for cars that they wouldn't change, and Detroit just about went under back then just because they wouldn't go to a smaller car. And it's going to be the same thing now. If Trump comes in, puts in a bunch of tariffs, our prices are going to go up. The quality of the products we get here are going to be a lot worse. So, couple reasons why we don't want to go down those roads.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
It.
So, Tag, let me just tell you, there, like I mentioned in the video that I did, there are reasons for tariffs, right? In other words, if we want to maintain a certain part of our industrial base, there are reasons to say we need to make sure that we can maintain that base by making sure the prices that the product that we pay for particular products are sufficiently high to maintain a national base of production. I mean, so that is understandable, but that's not across the board. So what if, it is not across the board what he wants to do. Brother Tom Hartman, I interviewed him I guess it was about a month ago or so, and we were getting into the discussion on his new book. He has a new book out titled The Hidden History of the American Dream, The Demise of the Middle Class and How to Rescue Our Future. And in there, he also discussed tariffs and how you can actually create a smart tariff system. And what he was actually wanting Kamala to really be more straightforward on describing tariffs. In other words, not agreeing with Donald Trump to this over the board tariff, but to create a structure where all our jobs aren't outsourced, because it will always be cheaper to build a whole lot of stuff overseas, even stuff that we want to make sure we have a base here. So it's whether it's tariff or subsidized development or whatever, we have to be practical in the way it's implemented here. And that's not what Trump is talking about. And what you just said about the lowering of quality, what you said about the increasing in prices, those are all things that would come through if you do not do it in a sensible manner, which is exactly what Trump is not doing. Anything else, Tag, before I move on to Jacob?
Well, and the bottom line is for building products here in the U.S., we need to have a good labor base to do that. And he wants to cut off the labor base, too. So everything that Trump is doing is against us being independent economically here. And I think the people need to remember that when we're going to the ballots.
And thanks for saying that, Tag, because we have a lot of union workers that are fooled by his little snippet and sound bites and not realizing they are in fact voting against their own interests. It's not all. Yeah, he said he doesn't want to pay overtime. That's understood. And talking to Musk, he says anybody who strikes or doesn't come to work, fire them. All the things that's anathema to unions is who Trump represents. But somehow there are many union workers who don't quite get it. But thank you, Tag. We'll talk mañana. You have a wonderful rest of your day, my brother.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
All right, let's go to Brother Jacob. Come on in, Brother Jacob.
Yeah. Hey, you talking about data mining with the crypto. But look,
yes, sir.
One thing about it, man, I don't never hear you talk about, like, the descendants of the captives on the ticket, like Colin, Sylvester Turner. You know what I'm saying? I never hear you say nothing decent about them at all. But you go, I know you're going hard.
Look, I'm sorry. I don't understand the question, Jacob. What did you say? I don't go hard on what again?
Well, you don't with Kamala, you've got her support. You don't. It seems like you don't support like Colin. Colin that's running for senator, the descendant of a captive here in America. Him, Sylvester Turner. Him. I've never seen you talk about Bernie Sanders, and I guess her. And the rest of them, you're supposed to be a Democrat. The rest of them you don't care about, but that's cool. But also,
okay, let me. I'm asking you. I really don't understand. So tell me, who do you think I should be talking about that I don't talk about? Give me specifics. I really want to know what you mean.
Now that you don't have to talk about them, but I'm just saying I never hear you say anything about them. That's something that can affect the people here in Houston, in Texas. If they are
in Texas, okay.
For Congress, well, you know who they are, right? You know who Sylvester Turner. Maybe you can't hear me. Sylvester Turner.
No, I know Sylvester. No, Sylvester's a friend. Yes, I know Sylvester. He's a friend. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Now, Trump had played this clip of Kamala saying that she, about a transgender, that they gave money to get a sex change while was being locked up. Mm-hmm. All these things, man, because Trump, man, when you listen to him, he don't even sound coherent. He say that he say the same thing. It's a shame that she more than likely is gonna lose. And a good sign though for the Democrats is the people that came out to early vote, like 250,000 before, a certain time yesterday on early voting in Georgia came out to vote. So that's a good thing for her. But I saw her interview on Charlemagne, and I'm like listening to her and her giggling. She just come off just wrong, bro, to me.
Okay, let me just say this. Hold on a second, Jacob. First of all, I saw the same interview that you saw from Charlemagne. I got a completely different perspective. I think I started the show that way. But beforehand, I want to go about the local stuff. I would urge you, if you think that, I do 1 hour radio, but I have a full blogging site, egbertowillies.com, politicsandright.com, where I discuss many issues, including local issues. I did the school board as well as I did, what's his name here, Colin Allred. I do all of that. So, no, I cover all these different people. This radio station here goes all over the place. I cover the things of interest there as well. On Thursdays, we do bring in somebody who does more of the local stuff as well. So just want to clear that up. When it comes to Kamala and what I heard, there is, and I'll say this respectfully to you, women have a higher pitched voice in the aggregate than men do. As such, also women in their laughter would be different than men. To suggest that a feminine act is less than competent or less than strong or less than able to do things is it's a patriarchal manner that we've all grown up with, that I've learned over time as I made my transition in the United States from being a sexist a-hole to somebody who understands what we should be looking at is somebody's intellect, just like I would look at your intellect, not who you are or what your appearance would be or your tonality, but your intellect. We have to teach America to look at people's intellect and not what they seem like. Kamala Harris in speaking, in full sentences, in critical thinking, compared to Donald Trump, just a macho man trying to bring out the fallacies of masculinity, is not the thing. And the fact that he have allowed people to center around transgender. There are maybe 2 transgenders in a school, in any one school, and to make that the overpowering issue to work on the carnality of men is something that we have to overcome.
Yeah,
individually and personally.
No. This is in prison. This is a legal immigrant in prison. This ain't got nothing to do with school.
I heard the story. I heard the story, and I tell you what, we cannot be gullible. Wait a minute. We cannot be gullible. I can make a sentence this way. God damn the Queen. And they cut that right there. By the way, I do a lot of videos. I do a lot of cutting. I cut honestly. There are those who cut deceptively. And that video, as I watch it, it was clear. It was cut deceptively to fool you. It didn't fool me, but evidently you are allowing it to fool you. What I'm telling you now is go, instead of looking at the clip that you saw on TV, go find the interview and the context of the interview, because the same disease that's being used or infection that's being used on Kamala on these ads is the same infection that Ted Cruz used on Colin Allred. And it's the same infection being used by all these other people to fool you. And what I tell people all of the times in the cutting that I do on all the videos that I bring from different networks, what I do as well is I have the raw material. If somebody is concerned about how I cut, here is the full thing if you want to see what the context is. We are smart beings, and we all need to vote like smart beings, and we all need to not allow these politicians to take cuts and clips to fool us into believing something wasn't the spirit of what was said wasn't what's actually said. Anyway, Jacob, anything else before I jump to Donald?
Yeah, real quick. Now, Cruz is doing that. But Cruz, he's doing it in sports, which is that's crazy. Because our boy played football in the pros. He's using it in sports that they letting these transgenders go against, which he's right about.
They're full of it. They're full of it. Yes. And again, Trump does it too. They're full of it. And what we have to do, brother Jacob, is we have to be smart consumers of political ads. And you just don't take them at face value.
Hey, I have 2 daughters and I got 2 granddaughters. So with the feminine thing,
I bet you have beautiful granddaughters and beautiful daughters, and they depend on you making.
One thing too. I don't want one of them having no abortion. One of them, neither one.
And that's fine. That's your brother. That's your family. That's your family. You work within your family. You got to go, but you work within your family. Just don't tell other families what to do. Come on in, Donald.
So how many of them Bibles were printed?
120,000, my brother.
Isn't that blessed? Brother Trump put 100-something thousand Bibles in the hands of communist Chinese people with the Constitution of the United States in the back. And that is the story. You got to lie on the fly. That's the difference. He can lie on the fly, but he spread the word. So I don't know how you're going to convince some other people that there's something wrong with it. He put Bibles in the hands of communist China.
Donald, you know what you do to me every morning? You give me such a laugh that I think you'd lower my blood pressure, brother. Anyway, thank you, my man. I know that's what you wanted to say.
The products we make in the United States, when the bricks start flying, we need to have the stuff here that we can actually defend ourselves. And that means bandages, masks, weapons that we can actually use, because if we don't no longer build our ships on the East Coast and we're doing it in Japan, that's a very easy target for China to wrap around, because a lot of our drill ships and everything else are manufactured over there. We don't have the capabilities that we used to have.
You nailed it. That's what I'm talking about. That's when I talk about selective tariffs to protect our industrial base. Thank you, Donald. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Let's go to Sister Patty. Come on, yes, Sister Patty. All right.
I just have a comment for the previous caller saying he doesn't want his daughters to have abortion. We have done a disservice to our citizens in allowing women's health care to be described as abortion. When a woman has a non-viable fetus or health issue where action needs to be taken, miscarriage is not a medical term. That was a term of compassion. It goes into the health record as an abortion. The care for a miscarriage is very similar. The same drug is used. Mifepristone, yes, can abort, but it also is what is used to ensure that a woman who's had a miscarriage does not go into sepsis. So just to be clear, there aren't late-term abortions. There are late-term miscarriages. And since Texas outlawed abortions, their maternal death rate has skyrocketed. These are miscarriages that go into the medical record as abortions.
Patty, thank you for clarifying that. And not only thank you for clarifying that, but, I taking it a step further, I feel that I have no right, and no person should have any right to come between you and your doctor, period. No questions asked. That's the end of the discussion as far as I am concerned. So I thank you for bringing that up. But again, like I responded to Jacob, he can take care of things within his family unit, but let's not try to have any commandments that we're going to apply to other people, women or otherwise. Anything else, Patty, that you want to add?
Just trust the women to make their own decisions. They know.
I agree 100. Yes, ma'am. I agree with you. Thank you so kindly for calling, Patty. All right, let's go to Patrick. Come on in, Patrick.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
For Jacob, I think that there would be more excitement about talking Texas's Congress and Senate more if we had people that were like in the squad. As far as Ted Cruz goes, I've written him several letters about stopping armament of Israel, and the guy is gleeful. He doesn't even care about how he comes across to his constituents. He's gleeful about how he says he's going to continue arming them. We'll get no end to any of the wars with people like that. And as far as the abortion concern is, I don't think anybody in their right mind would be excited about their daughter having an abortion, but I don't think anybody in their right mind would want their daughter to die in an alley either. And that's one of the main things that we're trying to get away from when we discussed Roe v. Wade. Making abortion illegal only eliminates a choice between a doctor and another individual. If you get government involved, then there's never that option. What we're saying is government need to be the one saying no.
Patrick, the most powerful part of the interview between Allred and Cruz was when Allred looked at Cruz and says, there's nothing pro-life about your stance. There's nothing pro-life about Texas increasing the death rate for women, 56. In child's whatever it is, 56%. There's no life. There's no pro-life. And he said it. A lot of this stuff is, they've practiced it before, but it was so on point that he pointed out the hypocrisy of those who call themselves pro-life, because the policies they institute actually, when you add everything up, cause a hell of a lot more deaths than otherwise. Go ahead, continue, Patrick.
I want to switch over to the tariffs. We have somebody that's trying to get back into the White House that handed the richest people among us, the people that didn't need the help, huge tax cuts. And they've been getting tax cuts every 10 years. It just keeps coming. And he's going to do it again. But he understands. He's not smart, but he understands, because it's such a simple idea, that he has to fund this government somehow, and he has to have a pile of money to hand out to people in the private sector to reward them. So what he's doing is he's changing the tax system from income to purchase. Now the lower class spend just about every penny they make, but the upper class does not. And so what he's doing is he's finding a way to further fund the government using the lower middle class, while the upper class gets a free pass.
You know, Tom Hartman was talking about that's how we used to fund the government, solely by tariffs, you know. And somebody has gotten into Trump's ear that says, whoa, that's interesting. Tariffs won't even need the income tax, not realizing the fraud that it really is the way he wants to implement it. Like I mentioned in the piece that I did, there are reasons for tariffs to protect a local manufacturing base, etc. You want to do that to prevent, you know, so that you don't lose all the capabilities of your country being able to manufacture anything. Actually, everything is what I mean, but it has to be done correctly. Not and as Tom Hartman said, a well implemented tariff doesn't create a net profit for the government. It doesn't. It's simply that's not the intent of the tariff. Because again, if you notice when Trump implemented tariffs, what happened? He had to go invest in the soybean growers and all these other guys because it was wrong. Anyway, Patrick, I got to get out of here. So anything else real quick? Got to go to Brian.
Some of his Bibles will probably end up in public school, and that'll be another grift on the American people.
Oh, God. Well, Oklahoma, you know what Oklahoma did, right? Oklahoma specified a Bible that only Trump could sell to them.
Nice.
It's amazing. But anyway, thank you very much, Patrick. You have a wonderful day. See you at 3:00 if you're there.
Yes, sir. Have a great day.
All right. Take care. All right. Let's go to Brother Brian. Come on in, Brian.
Good morning. How is everyone today?
We're all fine.
Okay. Yesterday, I told you about Bill Clinton saying that that woman was murdered and shouldn't have been. And we don't have enough workers because we have to import them because we have a low birth rate. Is that a true statement?
That we have a low birth rate is a true statement relative to the other areas, yes.
Yeah, Bill Clinton said it. I didn't. And he said something that I don't understand what I was talking about. I mean, what is there not to say about that?
No, I don't know. What are you asking me? I mean, everything that I'm saying, look, that we need more immigrants in the country. That's true.
And he said victim correctly, didn't you? And she wouldn't have been killed. I mean, you were trying to say that I didn't understand that and it wasn't true.
I don't know what we're talking. I am not sure what we're talking about. Okay, but I can simply say that the stance that the right's taking on immigration is a disingenuous stance. That's all I'm going to say. I don't understand what you're talking about with Bill Clinton and all of that. I don't know that is important. So if you want to tell us something that's going to enlighten us, let me hear it. I don't want to be argumentative about a particular issue. Tell me something that you want to enlighten us with.
Okay. Now, Kamala Harris proposed $25,000 non-refundable business loans for black people, not white people.
That's
Indian?
again,
no,
that is not true. There is nothing you're going to fill out. You're not going to fill out any form that says if you're black, you can get this, and if you're white, you can't get this. That is the imagination of the right-wing machine. No, I listened to the entire interview, sir.
Oh, so did I. And it's a non-refundable $25,000 loan, not for white people, not for Hispanics, not for Asians. It's a non-refundable loan, $25,000. Wow. Look it up.
You're absolutely wrong. Let me correct Brother Brian. Okay, Brian, you have a wonderful day. Let me correct that record because I can't leave misinformation like that out. There is no policy that Kamala Harris is putting out there that is race specific. First of all, that's illegal. For us to ever have a race-specific thing, and I don't even know how they would define race given the generations beyond that we are, would be if they had reparations like they had reparations for the Japanese, like they had reparations for other people that were aggrieved. But that's not what these policies are. These policies are based on socioeconomic things, right? But if you have that Black people are more socioeconomically affected in a particular region, of course, most of that thing would go to, proportionally to the people that are more aggrieved. And that is how you correct, believe it or not, that is how you correct previous things. Earlier on, I think I got about 30 seconds to say this. When I was just starting my businesses and went for loans, somebody in a lesser position than I was able to pick up the loan. I couldn't. That was in a capitalist system. I was aggrieved. Now, technically speaking, I could go ahead and say, well, it had cost me 19% more on my livelihood because of that discrimination. I'm not doing that, but I'm saying I could have done that. But that's for another day because we're on time. Let me go to the studio.
Oh, nothing much here. Jack, what you got?
In the 80s, 90s, what were we doing? We were outsourcing all of our factories to China.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Anyway, folks, anything else, Jack, before I close her up?
He says no.
All right. Anyway, folks, love all you guys, callers, listeners, everybody else. Please remember, love on each other, man. It's okay. You don't have to be mad all of the times. You don't need to be mad anytime. Anyway, the rest of the show is at politicsandright.com/newsletter. politicsandright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics and Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Support for this show, Politics and Right, comes from politicsandright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.